As the globe teeters on the verge of war between the West and Russia in the aftermath of Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, two billionaire hedge fund managers have expressed drastically opposed opinions on the crisis. According to Bill Ackman, CEO of Pershing Square Capital, the United States must be prepared to go to war with Russia and draw a red line to prevent further aggression. In his daily observations newsletters on Tuesday, Bridgewater Associates founder Ray Dalio was more upbeat, claiming that the world order is altering in ways that have never happened in our lifetimes, but have happened many times throughout history. Furthermore, he claimed that Russia is more likely to win a hot war than the United States and other Western powers. It's not smart to fight a war that will produce more pain than reward. It is preferable to negotiate the best settlement possible, he wrote. The two financiers see the prospect of a Western war with Russia from quite a different perspective. Ackman, whose hedge fund only invests in the United States and Western Europe, is the descendant of a shepherd who lived in Western Ukraine during the Russian Empire. His great-grandfather fled the country to avoid conscription in the Tsar's army and anti-Jewish persecution. As is generally known, Dalio has significant stakes in China, which has cordial relations with Russia. Dalio came under fire last year for refusing to denounce China's treatment of the Uyghur ethnic minority, which has been accused of crimes against humanity against the Muslim ethnic group. Following the outcry, Dalio stated that he had been misunderstood and was merely providing China's perspective on the topic. In the current geopolitical crisis, the Bridgewater founder believes China's involvement could be critical if the West enters a hot war with Russia. So far, China has not sided with Russia, and it voted against Russia's invasion of Ukraine at the UN Security Council. That said, Dalio argued that it would not have been logical for Putin to have taken the path he took alone, and it is well known that China and Russia are very aligned in many ways, and that can be very helpful in minimizing the effects of the sanctions. Although Dalio thinks a more compelling argument can be made for China not helping Russia in the event of all-out war, he said. I'm waiting to see what China will do, because that will have a big effect on what the rapidly changing world order will soon look like. Ackman, on the other hand, sounded more urgent. In order to deter the use of nuclear weapons, we must establish a red line. If the unthinkable occurs, I see no alternative to our entering the fight. He wrote atop a lengthy Twitter conversation that began with President Biden asking, "Do we wait for him to slaughter millions before we intervene? What precedent are we setting by allowing this to happen?" Ackman stated that while he is not pushing for boots on the ground at this time because none of us want to put American lives in danger, he believes that more may be done without entering the conflict. Does there come a point when we say it's un-American to sit back and watch this happen? Ackman inquired. We are engaged in an economic conflict with Russia. We are giving weapons and intelligence to our allies, and the Ukrainians are fighting valiantly. The Russian army has shown to be ineffective and morale depleted. Their air force is incapable of achieving air superiority. He believes that the United States can and should do more right now. We're fighting an economic war, but we're only shutting down their banking system selectively, he explained. We are not utilizing all economic means available to us. Putin appears to be backed into a position according to the two hedge fund managers. I hope Russia is able to halt this onslaught, but I don't see how Putin can save face. We must be prepared for what comes next, which means we must consider military intervention, Ackman tweeted. Here we have an opportunity to draw a true red line and establish for future generations what it means and what America stands for, he continued. And if that line is drawn jointly by us and the rest of the globe, so much the better. And if he crosses it, we must take appropriate action. We cannot stand by and watch hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Ukrainians perish. I don't want to live in that world, and neither do you, he tweeted to Vice President Joe Biden. You have the ability to correct past mistakes and safeguard our future. Mr. President, with all due respect, the moment has come. Whereas Ackman's tweets were an emotional call to arms in favor of democracy, Dalio's commentary omitted any mention of Ukraine's war for independence. Instead, he warned that Russia is capable of defeating the United States and the West in a hot war. Those most likely to win hot wars aren't necessarily the most powerful, he wrote. They are the ones who can withstand the most pain for the longest period of time. The Russians and Chinese are more powerful in this way than the Westerners. Dalio stated in the post that he does not believe a hot war is probable, but he sees Putin in a bind, as does Ackman. The creator of Bridgewater remarked that backing down would be viewed as an acceptable sign of weakness at a time when the world is now looking to see who will win this war. Putin now appears to be entrapped. The economic pain that the Russians will feel will be so severe that it would be surprising if there weren't significant internal opposition to Putin's policies that could threaten or topple his regime, he concluded. Dalio, on the other hand, believes it is unlikely that Putin will successfully backtrack to reach some sort of compromise. These circumstances, he argues, make it more probable that Putin will continue his aggressiveness. Given the Ukrainian people's determination to defend themselves, many observers have suggested that the battle for Ukraine could wind up being as disastrous for Russia as the war in Afghanistan. However, Dalio appeared to flip that reasoning on his head. Dalio contended that power will always triumph over agreements, rules, and laws. When it comes down to it, those with the power to enforce their interpretation of the rules and regulations or to overturn them will obtain what they want. That, according to Ackman, is an intolerable outcome. The defense of Ukraine is a just war. It has nothing to do with oil or money. It's a battle of right and wrong, and those are the battles we should fight. And if we take the long view and penalize insane people for their behavior, we can dissuade them from pursuing larger goals. Who do you think makes the best point between the two financiers? Do leave your thoughts in the comment section below. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Do well to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Bye.